What's up, guys? Welcome to the first installment of Yinzers Yaks. I'm Jesse Mead, and I'm from Pittsburgh. Been about sports like my whole life since I was a wee lad. Um, I started, I think, when I was like two, and my mom like kind of just introduced me to football and stuff. Played flag football and all that. Played hockey throughout high school, baseball, and football also through high school. Um, so sports have always been, a big part of my life, and I do have to say that I have a big love for them. Um, I'm all about talking about them too. So if we ever get anybody that wants to give some feedback, we'll have them on the podcast or whatever. You can talk to us about it. My teams, I'd say definitely the Steelers for football. I do like the Eagles. I've always liked the Eagles. My mom has too. We have family that's from Philly, so I know they're not really supposed to like each other, but hey, here we are. Baseball, Pirates and Red Sox. Pirates, obviously, I'm a homer, so gotta like the pitiful Pirates. And the Red Sox, I really got big into with Big Poppy, David Ortiz, and kind of just been a fan ever since. So I was definitely happy when they swept the Yankees. Hockey, Penguins fan through and through. No other team. Hate the Flyers. Um, Capital is probably, if not more than the Flyers. I'm gonna send it over to Marty for his intro.
All right, what's going on, everybody? My name is Marty Lineman. I will be co-hosting Yinzers Yaks with the wonderful Jesse Mead. I'm from Pittsburgh as well. The two of us met by chance through Twitch, believe it or not, and here we are now doing our own podcast together. Like Jesse, I'm a lifer for sports. Pittsburgh through and through for me. Steelers, Pirates, even though they don't want to win, and then hockey, Penguins. Hate the Flyers as well, man. That's why I think it's why we're best friends. We unite to hate the Flyers.
Yeah, I can't argue there. All right, so the first segment we're gonna kind of get tossed into is the Thursday night game that was actually 2 days ago. You're kind of figuring out the schedule on this. I think it's going to be Tuesdays and Fridays is what's going to be the best. So Friday we'll be talking about Thursday night football and what happened there, and then the matchups for that Sunday. And then Tuesday we'll be talking about the matchups that happened Sunday and the Thursday night game. So I think that'll be the best setup that way, just so that we can kind of cover both aspects on two of the different like podcasts and stuff. So, anyways, the Thursday night game. What are you calling the Giants' record at the end of the season, Marty?
I think by the end of the year, just looking at their schedule briefly, they have for me a pretty rough schedule to continue. I'm saying 3-13. I think their only two wins come against Indy and Tampa. If you want to take one of those out, maybe Dallas, because Dallas isn't looking all that great either. But I think they end up 3-13 and potentially with the first draft pick this year.
It would honestly, I think I'm going along the lines with you. Maybe not 3-13, but I think maybe a 4-12 here. I think these next couple games are going to be rough. Falcons, I feel like they're hungry to win, so I think they're definitely going to get a win over the Giants. The Redskins, their defense is really tough, and Eli's been nothing but struggles. 49ers, they might be able to squeak out a win. Buccaneers too, same thing kind of you said. They've been struggling. The Eagles definitely not. Bears, nope. Play the Redskins again. I kind of feel like the Redskins are just going to kind of dominate with defensive, the defensive side of the ball. And I think that the Cowboys struggle, but it's always a good game between the two. But I do see the Giants pulling a win out of that.
Yeah, it'll be more competitive than it needs to be. That's the way those games always are with the two of them.
Yep, and I think when they play the Colts, they have a good chance because the Colts have been very, very lackluster this year. I don't think they've shown anything special. Their defense is doing actually surprisingly okay if you look at the numbers and stuff. They're about mid-range for the league, but if you look at their offense, Luck came back and he has nobody to do anything with on offense. I don't think their running back situation is ideal, and just having T.Y. Hilton to throw to is also not ideal. Doyle has kind of been non-existent in the tight end game this year, so
Yeah, I see Indy being a pretty easy win for them. I mean, seeing what will depend on where Indy's at that point in the season. That's what week 16 they face them, so who knows? But
yeah, yep, right before the end of the season. So I'm feeling the Colts might just want to send off this not so great season they're having with a coast through the end. Um, so Barkley, what do you feel? You thinking he's the real deal?
I absolutely do. I think he's the type of player that can carry an offense, and to the best of his ability, he has done that to this point. But he just hasn't had the supporting cast around him to finish the job.
Yeah, I strongly believe that too. I don't know if he's gonna look kind of like Zeke for maybe going forward for next year, kind of like trail off when people start to figure out like how he runs and stuff. Which he doesn't particularly have a certain style, but the way that he runs and the way that they use him is kind of meshed the same every game. So they're not using him for a lot of pitches and stuff. If I guess if I had to compare him to being used like as another running back, I would almost say Bell, because they kind of use him like heavily through the pass game, which kind of what they used him for in college. But use him heavily in the pass game and use him to do a lot of outside runs, not like pitches and stuff, but a lot of outside runs and handoffs like through shotgun and stuff. So I would kind of compare it to Bell, but I feel like they might kind of figure out how to play him next year, and his numbers might drop off a little bit. But I honestly do think he's going to be like top five back in the league for a while now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if they get obviously, it's no mystery that the Giants' biggest issue, in my opinion at least, is that O line. I don't really blame all this on Eli. Just honestly going to Eli for a second, looking at his numbers to this point through 6 games, he has been sacked 20 times. A little bit of perspective on that. Last year, through 15, he was sacked 31 times. So that's really all you need to know about that O line. I think if they can do some type of upgrading, whether it's free agency, drafting, I don't think they're gonna. If they get first round pick, they're gonna definitely go with a quarterback, I believe. But if they can work on that O line, I think we can expect even bigger things from Barkley. I really don't see a drop off, at least not next year.
No, and I honestly feel as if when he got drafted to the Giants, he was genuinely happy about it too. I don't know if it was like the going over to like not so much of like a winning tradition lately, but I feel if injuries didn't plague them last year, they would have done a lot better than they ended up finishing out the year. Their defense was absolutely battered last year, so I felt Barkley going in was really happy about the Giants. So I see him sticking around for a little bit, and hopefully they can correct those offensive line issues, because I feel like he will definitely be a special talent. Even though I didn't like the kid in college, because I go to Ohio State. I definitely have to respect it that he is a special talent.
Yeah. I mean, the Giants. I think they're in a position to have not a quick turnaround. I would say within maybe the next 3 to 4 years, they could definitely do something. But it could be possible next year. It may just be the O line, really, that they could use the upgrade on to turn this thing around. But I guess only time will tell. I think they have the potential to just go ahead and tank this year to try to get that pick, though.
Yeah, I don't necessarily feel like because of OBJ's attitude and stuff that the ideal idea is to tank, because of you see how passionate he is about that, and how many emotions get flowing through him once they start to kind of flip. I see a common trend. They'll start a game like okay, and start to look like actually pretty decent, and then kind of just not be able to close out through the middle and the end of the game, and kind of it'll just flip flop, and he definitely shows his emotions out on the field.
Yeah, and I mean that seems to be the common trend with any big wide receiver these days. But at the end of the day, I think looking past all that, all they want to do is really win. That's what he wants to do. He just shows his emotions a lot more than most.
Yeah, and I think especially with his fresh new contract this off season that he got. That I'm thinking for sure that he's a little bit more passionate about it this year, because he wants to win. He wants to win here, and I feel like the main things they need to improve on is definitely the O line, and I feel like going forward they definitely need to pick a really good quarterback going forward also, because I don't know how much Eli has left in the tank. I've always been rooting for him, um, through and through. Like when he beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl and all that, I always felt like he was up there with, that class, Philip Rivers and Roethlisberger. But I just feel like, maybe this season, because of, mix of the O line and mix of like attitudes in New York, that he's not performing up to par. So I feel like within the next, 2 to 3 years, that maybe just draft a really good quarterback in one of the higher rounds to, just in case. I wouldn't say that he's going to be out of the league within that many years, but I think they need to do it as a caution.
Yeah, they need to get somebody behind him. At least let him groom him for a year or two if they decide to keep him around. But a bold prediction: if he keeps getting hit like this, I mean, he's not an injury-prone quarterback. He doesn't have much injury history in his career, but if he keeps getting hit like this, he's going to be out. I just don't see him being able to take it, especially at 37.
No, there's a special breed of quarterbacks in the NFL that is able to take hits through and through. Um, I would say Roethlisberger would definitely be one of the ones that sticks out, even though he does like his injuries. Um, but he gets hit more than I'd say any quarterback in the league, other than Eli this year. It does help that he is a good O line now, but I think he puts himself forth towards many more injuries or potential for injury than other quarterbacks do. Um, I also feel like, even though Cam Newton is not super prone to injuries, but he does have injuries in his past. He's one of those quarterbacks that takes a lot of big hits, takes a lot of like cheap shots and stuff. He's had a couple of those so far this year, but I think it's because of his play style and stuff. But he is one of those other quarterbacks. He's big and large, so I feel like any other quarterback besides them is going to get injured.
Yeah, absolutely. Want to move on? Anything else to cover with the Giants? Anything else you'd like to put out there? They're screwed.
Yeah, no, nothing else that I can think of on that side of the thing. I think there definitely needs to be a flip in attitudes in New York, and I think something definitely needs to change. Maybe send some of the defense off elsewhere to get some offensive line help or something for a quick change to turn the season around, because it's tanking pretty fast.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what they end up doing. But sticking with Thursday night, what do you think about the Eagles? What do you think they're gonna do the rest of the way here? I don't have a feel for them.
They're one of the very few teams that I'm kind of intrigued for, to see the future and what holds for them. I thought for sure once they blew through the entire season and dominated, I would say, in the Super Bowl, that they would come out, as the front runners for the Super Bowl this year. It's not looking to be the case, but I can't really get a feel for them. They're on top of the world one game and absolutely below the dirt the next game. So I think this was definitely a good turnaround against the Giants, divisional, rival. These games are always good in this division. I think that, with the Eagles winning the way that they did, it definitely puts them in next week with better attitudes and maybe better thoughts towards the rest of their season. But I'm saying if we had to put a number on it, I'm thinking they're gonna finish around the 10-6 mark, maybe +1 -1 there, but I'm thinking 10-6.
Yeah, I mean, looking at their schedule, they do have a pretty tough go of it. Off the bye week, they got Carolina. That's going to be no easy task. Then they are in England to face, or no, they are they on the bye week? Am I looking at the right thing here?
Let me look real quick. The
Oh no, I'm
Eagles.
looking at the wrong thing because they played on Thursday. Silly me. No, okay, so we got Carolina coming up this upcoming week, the 21st. Like I said, no easy task there. Then Jacksonville in England. It's hard to say with Jacksonville. It really depends on what kind of Blake Bortles comes out. Dallas, New Orleans. That's not going to be easy. The Giants, again, probably a guaranteed win. Washington, Dallas, LA, another tough one. Houston, and then they finish off the season in Washington. So it's really, I mean, it's like you said, they're up and down. They come out looking hot, and then they come out looking like a dumpster fire. It's really gonna, I mean, it's gonna depend on them. They need to get some type of consistency going. A winning Carolina, I believe, would go a long way in establishing some consistency.
I definitely have to agree with you there. I think Carolina is looking to be a solid team this year, despite not really having too many offensive weapons besides McCaffrey and Olsen. I think going forward that the win in Carolina is definitely crucial. I think despite them not having too many offensive weapons, that Carolina is looking to be a front runner. So we'll definitely see once they win there. I still think just how you read off the schedule, it's looking to be just an up and down season for the Eagles. I don't think they're really going to take off like they did last year and just win consistently. I feel like it's going to be a battle through and through. And I don't really think they have much competition in the division other than the Redskins. But we'll see if the Redskins defense can hold out throughout the season, or else I don't know. They're once again, like we said, they're tricky. Can't really pin the tail on the donkey there.
Yeah. Now sticking with the Eagles, what do you think about the running back situation? Ajayi just went down with an ACL tear. They went with a massive tandem of running backs, got them through last year. Do you think they can do it again? Or do you think they're going to try to go out and get somebody?
All right. Well, they had rumblings of trying to get Bell when they were shopping around for him. Obviously, that didn't work. Just the climate and the way that we going into week 6, 7 here with waiting on Bell. Supposed to come back in the bye week. We'll see if that happens, but I just feel like it's too late in the season now for that anything to transpire there. So I think the Bell's trade is out the window. They were talking LaShawn McCoy, talking about that again, getting him back to Philly.
Yeah, I heard rumblings of that.
Yeah, and I don't foresee Buffalo just giving up McCoy, even though he's not looking too wonderful on the stats this year. I feel like he means too much to Buffalo for them to just toss him back to Philly for essentially, I don't really know what they would get in return for him anyways, because after this year, or after what I've seen this year, it doesn't look like he's, super, top tier running back. Although I would have said completely different last year. He had a great year last year. So once again, we'll see where that ends up. But I feel as if the Eagles are okay with their running back situation as of right now. I don't feel going forward that they're in a great spot, but I also feel like they're okay. Corey Clement and Wendell Smallwood, I feel like kind of just doing the same thing that they have done in so many years in New England. Kind of just having 2 or 3 different running backs, being able to take the load, whether it be running or through the air. I feel like they're just okay with their situation. Not in a great spot, but they're okay with it.
Yeah, I think they're definitely pretty content with where they're at. They can make it work. Or even Smallwood or Clement. I think if you lose one of them, I think that drastically changes it. If at that point, let's say it happens this upcoming week, if that happens, then I think they still potentially try to make a move, maybe for McCoy or even Bell. Trade deadline is Is it the? Didn't think it's gonna be a talking point. I think the trade deadline is
week 10.
Week 10. Okay.
Yeah,
so they still have time to make that move, but I think barring no injuries, they're gonna stand pat. However, if somebody goes down, I could definitely see them trying to make a move, especially if they're serious to try to stay contenders, which I'm sure they are. Nobody wants to lose.
Yeah, no, I 100% feel that they'll be looking around in the market, but I don't foresee them pulling the trigger on anything just because, like I said, I feel like they were okay with it. Not super happy over the situation, but they are definitely okay with it. I think with that, I think that kind of wraps up the Thursday night game and all the questions that arose with that. So we're kind of go over to the next segment in the power rankings for this upcoming week. This will be including this past Thursday night game, so that goes to the Eagles winning and the Giants losing. That will kind of factor into our power rankings. So I'm gonna kind of take it over, and we will just kind of debate on whether we feel that this is kind of a subject we agree on or not.
All right, sounds good.
The all right. So I have the Cardinals listed as the worst team in the NFL, number 32. They are 1-4. Just got their first win. Congratulations, by the way. The I think the main issues that they have are at the QB spot. Josh Rosen. I don't know if he's so much the answer. I don't know if it's too early to tell. I don't know if there's more issues on the offense, but as a whole, their offense is lacking. As somebody that owns David Johnson in fantasy, I like to see that he's finding his groove. I think that's about the only positive side on the offense, or positive on the offensive side of the ball. And I feel like maybe he's kind of finding his groove and going forward, that he is all good to go. Um, Other than that, I don't see too much of an answer for when other teams score for the Cardinals. Their defense is not terrible, but their defense is also not great. I just feel like they have too many issues going forward on offense to kind of turn the season around.
Yeah, I think if we could single out a team to potentially go 1-15, it would be Arizona. I think they have the ability to have some close games, but I think a lot of those close games are just they're gonna end up losing because they just don't have enough to break through. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I feel as if they're not a wonderful team this year, and they kind of just need to accept that fact going forward, and maybe try and figure out what the issues are. But I don't foresee them getting too many more wins this season, despite only having one. I have the 49ers listed as 31. They were 1-4 this season. They were actually the first win for the Cardinals that were just mentioned. So losing to, arguably the worst team in the NFL right now is definitely a damper on the ego. I think their run game is the only thing that's really working. They had 140 yards last week. So I think it's good, but I think they have many more issues to correct. Garoppolo is not looking like end of season Garoppolo. So we'll kind of see there going forward if it kind of turns around. But same thing as the Cardinals. I don't foresee them doing anything special.
Yeah, who since Garoppolo went down, I don't even know. Like I'm usually pretty good with knowing
Brethard,
backups.
Brethard,
Bethard. Yeah, whoever
yeah,
that is.
however you say that wonderful name. He actually threw 2 touchdowns last week. But in regards to that, I feel he's not their answer. And like I said, I didn't know if Garoppolo is. So we'll see going forward. The Colts I have listed as number 30. They are 1-4. Like we talked about a little bit earlier, no offense. Luck comes back, which is great. I think Luck's a great quarterback. I wouldn't say elite, but he is a great quarterback. He comes back to an offense that can't do anything. Running back core is just sad, and their options to throw to are very limited. Like I said, Doyle has kind of been non-existent, and Hilton is about their only option at receiver. All the other ones are kind of lackluster. Positive to this, their defense looks decent, but their reason for the struggle is definitely the offense. They did get off the ground, I think, last week when they played the Patriots. It was only 38-24. So it wasn't a super close game, but it also wasn't a blowout against a good New England team.
I think the biggest issue standing out to me with them is just the offense. Luck has not looked bad. He has not played bad, but he does not have any type of weapon there, really, other than T.Y. Hilton, who has been virtually invisible in my opinion. So they need to work on that. I think they need to potentially shoot for a running back, maybe in the draft, depending on where they finish. Who knows? They could turn around. But I think that and maybe another wideout through free agency, something like that. I think they could definitely have a quick turnaround because their defense is not that bad there.
Um, Completely agree. So going forward, number 29 is Oakland. Uh, where is Derek Carr? I feel like that's one of the biggest questions that Oakland has this year. Besides, my other main point is the defense. Letting go of Khalil Mack, as John Gruden was so famously quoted about him saying that it's so hard to find a good pass rusher in the league. Well, you let go who definitely I think the best defensive player in the league to basically a bag of chips and a pack of gum. So Gruden, it also raises a question: knew how to coach before. Does he know how to coach now? Time will tell.
Yeah, he's unfortunately for Oakland, he's not going anywhere. They could finish 1-15. He's not getting fired. I think if they flop again next year, you could see something happening. But for those in Oakland who don't want him around, he's not going anywhere. They paid him too much money to fire him this early on.
Yeah, and I feel like the love with Gruden in Oakland is too strong there for them to jump on any quick conclusions. I still feel like it's pretty early in the season too. They might be able to turn that around and look like a potential like 6-10, 7-9 team, but I don't think they're gonna look spectacular at all throughout the season at all. Also, where has Amari Cooper been? I know that's kind of in part to Derek Carr, but used to be, you know, top three right or top three wide receivers in the league,
Yeah,
and
he's been missing for about 2.5 years now. If you guys see him, let us know.
yeah, I did see the other day he was on a milk cart, little just a missing with a question mark. So we'll see if we can find him here in the coming weeks. But I don't foresee with the issues Derek Carr has been having that Cooper steps up to the plate at all. The next team that I have in the power rankings is number 28, the Giants. They are 1-4. Kind of talked about main issues since that was the Thursday night game this week. What's up with Eli? I couldn't pinpoint an exact issue other than the offensive line is giving him zero help. The turmoil in New York with the comments from OBJ about his quarterback being just decent. Can still throw the ball, but he's it's about all he can do. He's not doing anything else special for your team. Barkley, of course, is the shining star on this team, and surprisingly, the Giants, their defense is not absolutely terrible. I mean, they have some serious all stars: Eli Apple, Landon Collins, Olivier Vernon. I mean, they have the talent on defense. I just feel as if it's not meshed well together yet. If anything, they should definitely focus on using their defense for their advantage, and kind of just hoping their defense can do enough for them to help them win games.
Yeah, I mean, we did touch on it before, but with Eli on pace to be sacked a record, quick math here, about 55 times, if he keeps up this pace. For me, it is the offensive line. They're going to squeeze out a couple more wins, but the defense, I think, is going to be the reason behind that. Defense and Barkley. Barkley has the potential to steal a game or two for them, I think.
Yeah, I feel like he definitely is a game changer in certain aspects, but I feel like sometimes the Giants dig themselves too big of a hole that he's not able to undig that hole.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you have to go to the passing game, and Eli not being himself and not having the time that he needs, they're just not going to be able to dig themselves out. The running game's only going to take you so far.
Exactly, and we've seen that time again in this league. 27 is the Jets. They are 2-3. Same kind of struggles as Indy. their offense is way too inconsistent. They they've when they win, they've been okay, but when they lose, God, do they really lose? Crowell was looking awesome. Had, I believe, near 200 yards. So maybe that's something to focus on, that they are not giving him the ball enough. I think it was maybe more of a one of game. I think he only had 16 or 17 carries in the game and almost 200 yards. So he broke off a couple big runs. So I think that is more contributed to his stats. But I feel like definitely maybe rely some more on Crowell. Darnold's not going to put up fantastic numbers. The Jets have never had a super wonderful offensive coordinator or super wonderful in regards to the quarterback potential there. I think Darnold is good, but I also think that the way that the offense is run, they're not going to give him 35, 40 pass attempts in a game. It's just not the Jets. The Jets did beat a Denver team that is actually pretty decent this year. Their defense is pretty solid also. And hopefully going forward, they can look to feed off that.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens. But for all of those saying that the Giants should have drafted Darnold, I'm pretty sure they're happy that they didn't.
Yeah, I think they'd be looking at about the same situation, and who knows if Darnold would have even played this year. So
Yeah, more than likely not. But
you might have wasted that number 2 pick on a quarterback that you wouldn't even see play for another 3 years. Who knows? So I feel like they went the right way with Barkley, and we'll see how the Jets round this season out. I'm saying anywhere between 5-11 and 6-10, but not super great. The Cowboys are number 26 in the power rankings. They are 2-3. I feel as if Dak Prescott and Zeke and their non-existent receiver core and they're just subpar tight ends are most definitely for what they can kind of account their losses to. Their offense is non-existent. It is not been found anywhere this season. Their defense is kind of what makes them look okay in the stat sheet in regards to like points against per game and stuff like that. But in regards to scoring, the wins that they're going to get, they better hope that they don't have to score a lot of points because they are not doing it this season.
yeah, their only real hope right now with no wide receiving core is essentially running the ball. Just looking quickly at the stat sheet here, Zeke is actually leading them in receptions. Cole Beasley not or close behind him, but that's really all you need to know about the receiving core. They need some help there massively.
Yeah, and if you're watching any Cowboys games on Sundays, you can see they rely strictly on that. They're running it, 2 times in a row and just hoping for a short gain on the third down through Zeke to get that first down. It seems to be just a repetitive scheme. So don't see anything special happening there. The Texans are number 25. They are also 2-3. Actually beat the Colts this previous week. So are they the better Texas team? I think for sure. Start of games and through the middle, the Texans look weak. But if they are within range, closing the games for the Texans has definitely been, I think, their strong point in their wins. They beat the Cowboys in overtime. I think for sure the Texans need to rely on offense, Deshaun Watson and the special talent that he is. I don't think he's looking like last year's form, but I also think when you have a major injury like he did, you're not going to come back 100%, whether it be that season or even ever. Who knows? He might be back to complete full form at the end of the season, but I feel like he's still kind of getting his groove. But Deshaun is a special talent, and you definitely need to utilize that, especially with the Texans defense actually doing their job this year. So hopefully they can turn this 2-3 around. I really like this Texans team,
Yeah,
despite them being 25.
if they, I mean, it all hinges on Watson. If he can turn around, return to form from last season, I definitely see them being a major threat. But like I said, it all really comes down to him, and I think that's what it is. I think he's just finding his groove again, coming back from the injury. I would say to keep an eye on them the next 2 to 3 weeks to see what they do, especially this week in Buffalo. This game in Buffalo might not seem like a lot, but it means a lot to both of these teams. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, and I think also going forward, it's going to be tough for the Texans because they're in the division with the Jags and the Titans, and they are both looking really good this year. So going forward, if they were to turn the season around, they definitely need some help from other teams to maybe knock some losses into the Jags and Titans schedules. The Falcons are number 24. They are 1-4. I feel like this week against the Steelers, not to be a homer or anything, but I feel like against the Steelers, it was definitely a crucial win for both teams, and I think Pittsburgh definitely wanted it more. I feel like the defense is just too banged up for them to really look spectacular. Just too many key injuries, and I think it's crucial for them to win this week against Tampa, who's also a struggling defense. Two struggling defenses leaves basically just a absolute blowout ready for when they play this week because Tampa's offense has looked pretty decent throughout the first 5 weeks of the season, and I don't know if it'll continue. Fitzmagic seems to have completely disappeared, but I think the strong point of the Falcons is definitely the pass game. So I think they need to rely on that in this week and hopefully do a little bit better than they did against the struggling Steelers defense, which I felt did definitely do a good job this week. So can't completely put the blame on the offense not stepping up, but I feel they need to do it for the win this week.
I really think something to watch for with teams going against the Falcon is them mimicking exactly what the Steelers did with shadowing Julio Jones. Joe Hayden did a wonderful job of that. It would not surprise me to see it happen more often because it was absolutely effective against him, and that could be a quick way to shut them down if other teams can make it work. So we'll see if they can make the adjustment.
I completely agree, and I totally forgot about that, but he didn't have a catch until the fourth of the Steelers game.
Yeah, that was his only one. I think great.
Yeah. No, I think he finished with 2 or 3, but regardless, he did not make an effect on the game or the stat sheet. So I feel like just people need to look at the film of that game and kind of study what the Steelers defense did to Julio in order to completely just box him out of the game and Matt Ryan's options.
Yeah, let's see, he had 5, but at the same time that was just were garbage receptions at that point, so it didn't even matter.
Yeah, so number 23 going forward, yeah, the Bills, they're 2-3. I actually a lot of the power rankings I was looking at way up in like 28 and 29. For the wins that they have gotten this season, I feel that they are just that team that you kind of never really know what's going to happen, which has been the Bills of the last 2 or 3 years with them making the playoffs last year. Obviously not making it very far, but them making the playoffs last year was kind of just a shocker to everybody. That was, I feel like just a rhythm and a routine for the Bills now. They do have inconsistency. Oh my God, inconsistency across the board. Their run game is kind of non-existent. McCoy stepped it up this last week, but I think it was kind of because he was forced to. They won 13-12 over the Titans. So in a game like that, you're not gonna see particularly high passing stat numbers. So it's going to rely strictly on the run game and stuff and kind of look if that works. So hopefully McCoy going forward, he kind of steps it up and their run game steps up. So I think the 2 wins against the Vikings and the Titans that they have, despite having more losses than wins, brings some hope for the future. So I really like this Bills team. So hopefully they can squeak out a playoff berth again this year.
Yeah, I think a big point for them is Josh Allen and Kelvin Benjamin establishing some type of chemistry. I think if they can do that, that's a big help in the passing game. And then with the run game, they have the tandem of McCoy and even Chris Ivory, who's bounced around a lot, been a quality back for anywhere that he's been. So it'll be interesting to see what they're able to do in the coming weeks. If they can get this win against Houston, it puts them in a really, really good spot, especially if, depending on how the New England game comes out, if Kansas City can beat them, it makes that division really interesting for everybody.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The Dolphins 3-2, and they are number 22 on my spot. They looked great out of the gate, but seem to be collapsing. Their offense is kind of just up in the air. I can't really pinpoint an identity on them this year. So, I looked great this first 3 wins, but we'll see how it turns out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, Tannehill came back looking pretty good, but a lot of digression. That's the right word, right? Digression? In the past few weeks here, so we'll see if they can try to turn it around. That was a real bad game. They lost to Cincy last week. They threw that one right away. So
going into the fourth quarter, they're winning 17-3 there. So they definitely tossed that out the window. Broncos are 21. They are 2-3. Broncos offense definitely relied on Philip Lindsay, but he kind of seems to be tapering down. Or as you like to say, what was that word? Digression.
Digression, yes.
Case Keenum, I don't know if he's the answer to the Broncos quarterback woes. He did put up good numbers in for the Vikings, but he's not been super great for the Broncos. Their defense does look really good. They need to rely on the pass rush because, flat out they're good at it. Their cornerbacks and their secondary are okay, but they need to rely on the pass rush.
Yeah, with just going back to Keenum, this is one of those situations where he was doing great in Minnesota, and they thought they could get the same type of spark out of him. It just hasn't worked out yet. I think a lot of their season really hinges on him turning his shit around and seeing what they can do.
I agree. Broncos are notorious for giving big contracts out to mediocre quarterbacks too. So we'll
Brock Osweiler.
Yeah. Number 20 is the Seahawks are 2-3. Their defense, surprisingly, I never thought I'd say defense for Seahawks being an issue, but they allow way too many yards. 468 offensive yards for the Rams loss, 33-31. Then again, it is the Rams. Rams are a absolute powerhouse this year, but I feel like even then you should be able to just withhold them under 400 if you want any type of win. Rams game was definitely a step forward, though. They only lost by 2 points, and it showed Seattle actually has a run game, and they need to rely on that as opposed to trying to pass it all the time.
Completely agree. We can move on.
All right. 19 would be the Lions. Offensive woes. I can't pinpoint their identity at all. Is Matt Patricia really their coach? I don't really know. Not doing a super great job, but not doing a terrible job. They beat a decent. Wow, I can't talk. Beat a decent team in Green Bay. They also put up 31 points, so maybe that's something to look forward to kind of translate to next week. Number 18 is the Browns. They are 2-2-1 with the tie. Cleveland always has that Cleveland luck. 3 out of 5 games have been in overtime. They're notorious for not finishing well. Oakland game is just one of many examples. They beat the Ravens, which is huge for a division win. Baker does know how to control a game. Is he the real deal? I don't really know. The Buccaneers are 17. They're 2-2. They came out the gate blazing hot. They're coming off the bye week, so hopefully they can correct some of those issues. Defensive struggles. Definitely defensive struggles. They had a blowout in Chicago when they played right before their bye week. Winston shows promise for their offense since Fitzmagic seems to be losing his touch. The Redskins are 16. They're 2-2. Offense, I don't really know what they're doing on offense. Alex Smith doesn't look like Alex Smith of last year with the Chiefs. I don't know if it's because it's a different team, but Kirk Cousins was able to do stuff with this offense, and Alex Smith just, as of yet, has not been able to. Redskins need to rely on their defense. They're ranked top 10 in defense. They were actually doing a really good job so far, and they're impressing many people. Green Bay's 2-2-1, and they're number 15. Defensive issues. No one really sticks out on this defense besides Clay, and if he keeps getting slapped with all these fines, this man's not going to want to play football after this year, anyways. Aaron Rodgers is behind this team, so there's always a what if. If you have Aaron Rodgers behind you, you could be down 21 going into the fourth and come back. We've seen it time and time again. Number 14, the Titans, 3-2, loss against the Bills. So that's always tough. But once again, the Bills are very up and down. Couldn't get much going against the Bills. It was a very low scoring game. They have had an impressive season. They beat the Jags, so maybe kind of use that as fuel to the fire, along with the loss to the Bills going forward. Ravens number 13. They're 3-2. They lost to Cleveland. What question does that raise? I don't know what the Cleveland loss means. These division games are just absolutely, whoever knows what the true outcome will be. The defense for the Ravens is still great and definitely the focal point of the team. I feel like their offense step up though, definitely. Number 12 is the Chargers. They're 3-2. Very inconsistent, but it's kind of a trend with Phillip Rivers. He's always up and down, and so is his team. The two losses the Chargers have though are to the Rams and Chiefs, so they're kind of quietly doing pretty well. Number 11 is the Eagles. They're 2-3. I have them all the way down here because of the record. Not so much I feel as if they're a bad team. I don't know if they're on the decline or incline after this week, just because 3 losses. So they're essentially coming off 1-3 and then beating the Giants to be 2-3. That doesn't really seem like too big of a boost, but we'll see. Wentz is looking up. He's looking like he's definitely coming back from injury and stuff. So we'll see how that turns out. Number 10 I have is the Steelers. They're 2-1. I feel like this Falcons game was a huge turnaround. Defensive issues, kind of a question mark still. Are they resolved? I don't really know, but it definitely looked to be a good turnaround against the Falcons. The offense is getting their wheels, but I don't know if it's quite enough for if the defense continues to play like they did against the Buccaneers or the Browns or any of those games that just didn't look too great. The Vikings lost to the Bills. So offense enough, is it really? If you're losing to the Bills, it kind of sucks. But once again, Bills is just such a wild card team going in. Vikings did beat the Eagles though, which they're very talented Eagles, and the Vikings do know how to finish games. So we'll see going forward. I have number 8, the Bengals, who are 4-1. Crucial game this week against the Steelers. I feel going forward that they definitely need to win this if they're going to continue their trend upward, but this will be a real test against Pittsburgh, just being the division rival game. Number 7's the Panthers. They're 3-1. I can't really figure this team out because they're doing really good, and I don't really know why. Their front 7 on their defense is, I think, arguably one of the best, if not the best. But in regards to offense, they don't have much. So I think just because their defense is such a powerhouse that they're able to rely on that. The Jaguars, they are number 6, and they are 3-1. Obviously, coming off a loss, they are going to be very hungry. So we will see going forward what they would like to do. But I feel as if this team is still a really good team and should definitely be playoff contenders. Patriots are number 5 at 3-2, and we'll see how Tom Brady wants to turn this season around. I feel as if this season is going to be a little bit different for Tom. I don't think that it's going to be an easy cakewalk like he always has. Number 4 is the Bears. They're 3-1. Their defense is, I would definitely say, the best in the NFL as of right now. They need to rely on that, and the offense seems to be getting their wheels. Trubisky seems to be putting up actual numbers, and their run game is definitely something to take a look at with Tariq Cohen and Jordan Howard. Saints are number 3. They're 4-1. They look absolutely phenomenal. Their offense is turning and turning, and their defense is doing a really good job of just flat out stopping teams. The one loss that they have is kind of just a question mark. I don't really feel it defines them, so that's why they're their number 3 spot. 2 is the Chiefs. They are 5-0, one of 2 teams that are undefeated. This game against New England this weekend will raise many questions and get many answers as to who wins. We'll see if they're the real deal with Mahomes. I really like Mahomes, despite we don't really know how he throughout the season, but this will be a good test this week. Number 1 is the Rams, and they are 5-0. I think definitely the best team in the NFL right now. Just so much talent on their team that I feel that they have to just keep winning and winning. I feel Rams and Chiefs meeting would be wonderful, and it's going to show who truly is the best in the NFL. We're going to segment over to the hot takes. I kind of just sped that up because the power rankings were seemed to be a little lengthy, so I figured I didn't want to bore you too much. So, Marty, what is your first hot take for this upcoming season?
Well, actually, not even so much upcoming season. Just something that happened this week. Drew Brees, number 1 passing record. He most passing yards in the NFL. I think it was great. I've always been a Drew Brees fan, the underdog. He was a guy that wasn't supposed to make it, wasn't supposed to be anything because he was too short, and now he is the passing leader in NFL history. I think it was a little ridiculous how long the celebration was, though. Not ever have I seen an NFL game be stopped for anything other than a win, or a regular season win, or the Super Bowl. That's when you celebrate, not when you get a career achievement like that. I think that was a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that. I think the Drew Brees celebration was a little bit much, but I feel it was cool, but I've never seen stopped. I felt like it was too much. One of my hot takes is I feel Baker Mayfield is not going to make it through this whole season, whether it be through injury or whether it be through a couple lackluster 2 or 3 weeks, that they're going to take it back off to Taylor. And we'll see how that turns out.
Yeah, I don't. With Baker, here's my counter to that. He's going to get taken out because Hugh Jackson's an idiot. He'll have, let's say he has a string of 2-3 games, has a couple picks, just doesn't look that good. At that point, I think you need to let him play through that. I don't think Hugh Jackson is a smart enough coach to realize that. He will panic. He will put Taylor back in there, and we will not see the Browns win another game. I think it's going to be flip-flop. If Baker has a couple bad games, then you get Taylor in there. He has a couple bad games. I think there's the potential to see them flip-flop. But me being a Baker Mayfield fan, I wish him the best, and I hope he stays in there all season. And I see the Browns maybe winning 6-7 games even with him in there.
Yep, we will just have to wait and see, I guess. Another hot, we kind of talked about it earlier. Okay, with the running game, I feel a lot of people want them to go after somebody, but I feel like they're not going to. I feel like they're completely okay with it, and they don't really want to change anything since it seemed to work this week.
Yeah, I don't think there's really any reason to. Just leave it as it is. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yep, exactly. The Patriots fight for the division this year. Why I say that is because I don't see the same dominance through the Patriots that I have seen in so many years growing up and stuff. So I don't think they're gonna dominate the division. I feel like they're definitely gonna fight. I feel like the Bills or the Dolphins will kind of just be right on their tail throughout the season.
Yeah, it's gonna. I don't see. I don't see it being easy for New England, but I definitely see them coming out with the division. This is going to be an interesting test for Tom this late in his career, going through some struggles. Granted, they got blown out, or just not blown out, but they got beat a couple weeks ago. Everybody's putting them down. It seems like every time they have a game like that, New England comes back and proves everybody wrong. So we'll have to see. I think if they can, honestly, I think more so than Kansas City beating New England this week, I think this is a test for New England to see what they're really made of. If they can beat Kansas City, I think New England is definitely still the team to beat in the AFC.
Yep. All right. So we're gonna go into the shooting high. This is kind of two things that are popularly believed by like the mainstream media and most fans, but something I don't buy. Shooting high, the Browns finishing with more than 6 wins. I don't see it happening. I see Cleveland being Cleveland, and they finish out the season with 4 or 5 wins, but that's about it. I just don't see them having the finishing power this year.
I definitely I'm gonna disagree with you on that. I think the defense and I think Baker managing the games can definitely take them places. I think at the end of the day, the Achilles heel with this team is Hugh Jackson. I really don't think he's the coach for them. I could see them having a few bad games here, maybe 4 or 5 losses in a row, and you're gonna have Todd Haley as your new coach there. So we'll have to see what happens. But I think if Baker can stay healthy and this defense can stay consistent, I'm gonna stick with 6 or 7 wins for them. We'll see them.
Yeah, we will see, and that will definitely be interesting. If being the coach, him being the coordinator for the Steelers for those many years. Um, I Another shooting high is Julio Jones. I don't see him finishing with the receiving title, despite him being so high up in the numbers right now. Um, he's just not playing solidly this year, and I think the Falcons' struggles are not going to allow him to put up the numbers that he normally does to be like up there in the lead, if not in the lead. Um, he doesn't even have a touchdown yet this year, so I don't see him running away with the receiving title.
All right. We pretty much had the same things, but I have an additional for shooting high. The Chiefs, are they for real? I think we're just gonna have to wait and see. New England, this is gonna be a big test for them this week. A lot of people are saying that this is Kansas City's year, but I've seen this before. They've started off strong and they fade away. So going and beating New England this week would be big, but come playoff time, that's really when we're gonna see what they're made of. I think so. I'll hold my breath on them.
So then going forward with that, I feel the Chiefs are just they have a lot of questions around them, and I feel like this game this week is really gonna it's gonna show and answer those questions. But I feel it's also gonna raise many more questions, like as if is New England trending down? Or is it the Chiefs' time? Is Mahomes the real deal? I feel those won't even be answered until we hit the playoffs and stuff too. So I feel this it's a big game, but I also feel like a lot of questions won't be answered. We're going to segment into the games of the week. One of my picks, and I know one of your picks for the games of the week, was Cincinnati versus Pittsburgh in Cincinnati. This is crucial if the Steelers want to have a battle for the division and make it to the playoffs and potentially win the division. I feel they definitely need to win here and show everyone that they are the real deal. And it being in Cincinnati, you remember the last time that we were in Cincinnati and the hit on Perfect from Smith Schuster was definitely leveling the playing field and just showing how physical these games are. I love to watch them, but I also hate to see all the injuries that come out of them.
Yeah, I think everybody needs to have their head on a swivel, especially Juju. I mean, I think Burfict's at the point where he doesn't want to be sitting out any more games, but he's not happy about Juju standing over him last year, so I would definitely watch out for that. I think this is a big game for the both of them. The Steelers absolutely need this win, but at the same time, the Bengals do too. If the Bengals can win this game, they've more or less locked up the division. Obviously, it's not over, but it really puts the rest of the division in a decent sized hole.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like this is a crucial game for both teams, but since he kind of runs away with the division if they get this win.
Final score in this game for you?
I'm gonna say by the skin on their teeth. Pittsburgh pulls it out 24-21 on one of those game-winning field goals from Boswell.
Okay, I have
It's
them.
not
Sorry, go ahead.
it's not because I'm a homer either. That's just I feel the Pittsburgh's like drive to win is a little bit more than Cincy, since Cincy is on a roll right now and Pittsburgh needs to win.
Yeah, I think the Steelers are going with. It's hard to say a lot of momentum. They did just win a big game last week, but I think with Shazier is going to be there for the first time since getting injured, so I think that's going to motivate them. So we'll see. I have the Steelers winning 21-17. I think I think Vontez Burfict's going to do something stupid at the end of the game and cost them. I think it's what it's going to come down to. He's going to throw a game away for them. I think just to put on record, Cincinnati is a better team without Vontez Burfict. Despite him being probably their best defensive player, he just causes too many problems.
No, I feel as in late games, he way too many penalties and issues in that regard. So I completely agree with you. The another game of the week that we both agreed upon: New England versus the Chiefs. New England, it has to define what they're going to be this week against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs have to show the world, is Mahomes the real deal or the Chiefs the real deal? I'm not 100%. We'll just have to wait and see. But whoever wins this game, it is definitely going to flip their season completely around. 100%.
Yeah, it's just absolutely huge for both of them. Honestly, if Kansas City wins, it's big, but at the same time, I'm still gonna hold my breath until they get to the playoffs and can show me if they can do something. I actually have New England winning this. I think Kansas City's defense is finally going to pay for their lackluster performances. I have New England winning 38-24. Mahomes is going to have a good showing, but it's just not going to be enough. They're not going to be able to keep up with them.
Yeah, and we actually agree on this one too, oddly enough. I have the score as 31-24, so New England gets one of those last minute downs and just not enough time for Mahomes to work his magic that he's had these past weeks. I just feel as if the Chiefs defense will get exposed. I mean, they allowed 40 points up against the Steelers and still won simply off Mahomes' 6 touchdowns on that. And I just feel like they've let up too many points for such a methodical and a strategic team like New England to just let that happen and for them to not get a win.
Yeah, it's just not in their identity to do that. So that's why I give them the edge in this one. But we'll see.
All right. I guess I don't think that we both had this one. Bills versus the Texans.
I do have that one actually. Yes, it's just.
Oh, okay. So we are agreeing on games this week. I have the Bills and the Texans because both these teams need to, kind of same thing as the previous matchup that we just talked about, show a bunch of their true identities, whether it be on defense, whether it be on offense, whether it be on their scoring potential, whether it be about what their definition of the season is going to be. The Bills win this, then they're a really good spot. They're 3-3, and they're looking up in their division. Texans win this, and they're looking up in their division on a very steep uphill climb towards the Jags and the Titans. But it shows that they can manage it because the Bills have beaten 2 really good teams. So I feel as if this could kind of go either way. I'm not putting a huge bet on one team or the other, but I actually have the Bills winning this one. I don't believe it's going to be a shootout. I believe it's going to be another low scorer. So I'm saying 17-14 Bills.
Yeah, I have the Bills winning as well. This game could go one of two ways. This has the potential for the Texans and Deshaun Watson to show that offensive power. I don't think that's going to happen. It could. I have Buffalo winning this, so a close defensive game. 10-9, but it could absolutely go the other way. Houston could blow them up and get rolling like they need to. But if Buffalo wins, like you said, this does wonders and really makes that division really interesting.
Yep. All right. Well, I will let you go with one of your games.
All right. Next one I have. If you guys haven't figured it out, I really like Baker Mayfield. I have Cleveland and the LA Chargers. This one is interesting. I think Cleveland finally gets 2 wins off in a row. I have them winning 34-30. To me, they have proven that the defense can win them games. Baker can manage the game. This is going to be another shootout, though. I think we'll see what happens. It's not going to go to OT for once. And then them winning this,
Are you serious? A Browns game not going to OT?
I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to pull this one out in regulation. But just like the Buffalo game, especially if the Steelers and the Browns win, this makes the division really interesting going down the wire here.
Yeah, I think that this is an important game. I think, too, because the Chargers are so up and down that the Browns could easily run away with this, or the Browns could get absolutely blown out. I feel as if for once in Cleveland's life that the defense is actually their strong. defense is always getting blown out on Cleveland and is always their weak point. I mean, all these years back, they've been pretty bad on both sides of the ball, but their offense is probably a little bit better than their defense. But their defense is kind of it. What seems it to be is that the defense keeps them in the games, and with Baker kind of just managing the game, he's able to do what he needs to do to pull out a win or set up his team for that game-winning field.
Yeah, I mean, early on, he like it's like we've been saying, he has shown he can manage games. Like this is just a small sample size, so we got a lot of season to go. But
Yeah,
this
so
is a
I
big step for them.
actually I'm gonna have to disagree with you though on that. I think the Chargers win not in huge fashion, but the Chargers win. I'm gonna say 24-14.
Okay, we shall see.
Um, we shall see. The one of the games I picked too was the Bears versus the Dolphins. I feel the Dolphins are coming off hungry after coming out here 3-0 and then losing two straight, and they need to have something to prove. And the Bears just being absolutely a brick wall on defense. I feel as if the Dolphins defense is decent enough to kind of just keep the Bears at bay. But then also on the flip side, I feel Tannehill is explosive when he needs to be. So we'll see if he actually tests the Bears defense this week, and if they get a true test of what they need to do and what they need to defend against. But I have the Bears winning this one. I have them winning like 21-14. So this is actually a normal score game, but I say 21-14 Bears win. Bears never have these high scoring games other than against the Buccaneers.
Yeah, no, I think Miami is in for a bit of a shocker against them. Not so much a shocker, but I don't see them winning. I think Miami. I think they took a major hit to the ego losing that game to Cincy last week. I could see them going pretty much down from here the rest of the season. Time will tell, but I think the defense is going to win this one for the Bears. I think it's going to be another close game, saying 17-14 Bears.
Alrighty. And my last game of the week that I picked was the Redskins versus the Panthers. I picked this game mainly because of the Panthers they've been doing. I feel this will be a true test of since the offense doesn't have any weapons for the Panthers, can they really do anything? We'll have to see because the Redskins defense is top 10. And if Cam can't do anything against this is just nightmare city for if they have any playoff aspirations, because they're not really going to face any teams worse than like the Redskins defense in that regards. They're going to face all high caliber defenses. So I feel as if actually the Redskins gives the Panthers their second loss. In actually more of a high scoring shootout game, I believe this one will be 28-24 Redskins over the.
All right. And for my final pick, I thought we had this one. I guess not. I have Green Bay and San Fran. Not that Green Bay needs to panic, but if they lose this game, they're in quite a bad spot. I have Green Bay coming out on top of this one, 21-10. Rodgers obviously has the ability to carry this team. They know how badly they need this win with a less than desired start to the season. However, if they don't somehow pull this out, it makes things interesting for them. They got themselves in quite a hole. Can't be losing to a team that is beat up like San Fran. So, see what happens.
Yep. We will have to wait and see. I'll see if any of these scores hold true, and we'll come back to this next week and kind of check our overall predictions and our record with our predictions. But that is going to wrap it up for like the first podcast of the Yinzers Yaks. If you guys want to contribute in any way or anything, just get in contact with me or Marty. We'd love to have people on the show, have some talking points or anything to that. But we are gonna bank on having another one sometime this week. Like I said, we're gonna try Tuesday and Friday and see kind of what works best. We might change those, who knows? But that's gonna wrap it up for this. Marty, any final thoughts, comments?
Go Steelers, and thank you for listening to us yak.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to add on to that. Go Steelers also. Thanks for listening to us yak. We'll be back next week. Appreciate it, guys.
Later.
Alrighty. What